She is best known for throwing tables around on The Real Housewives of New Jersey, but tonight, Teresa Giudice is facing drama of a much more serious variety. She and her husband Joe are looking at possible jail time after pleading guilty to charges of fraud. They're not the first reality stars to deal with off-camera disaster, and ABC's Amy Robach spoke to Teresa one-on-one.
Arriving at a federal court in Newark, New Jersey, holding hands, Teresa and Joe Giudice, the stars of The Real Housewives of New Jersey, today pleaded guilty to conspiracy to commit mail fraud, wire fraud, and bankruptcy fraud.
Teresa and Giuseppe Giudice both admitted to a federal judge that over the better part of a decade, they were engaged in a scheme to defraud financial institutions and the IRS.
It was the culmination of an almost 8-month-long legal fight where federal prosecutors presented evidence that the reality TV star's lavish lifestyle was funded partially on ill-gotten gains. Outside the court, Teresa Giudice's attorney read a statement from her.
Today, I took responsibility for a series of mistakes I made several years ago. I am heartbroken that this is affecting my family.
Wendy Feldman has been counseling the Giudices through every step of their legal ordeal.
It's stressful to go through it in private, so you compound that by the fact that they're reality stars. It's very tough.
She says their legal problems were only compounded by being on reality TV.
Part of what they are charged with played out on television.
It was just another page in the tangled history of reality TV. In a series known for its over-the-top theatrics.
Stop hurting! Get bald, be a man, stick with your blood.
I'm not sticking with scum like you.
She is perhaps the most recognized and controversial of them all. A woman is famous for her excess.
My house, it's pretty much all marble, granite, onyx.
As she is for her legendary catfights.
You stupid bitch!
We spent the day with Teresa and her husband at their luxurious New Jersey mansion back in January, while they were still in the crosshairs of a federal indictment.
Was there any pressure when you're on a show like The Real Housewives of New Jersey to have a bigger house and fancier things and really showcase wealth?
Any pressure? No, I mean, I don't feel like it, and I don't try to keep up with the Joneses.
A lavish lifestyle that may have drawn the attention of federal prosecutors.
The prosecutors say there's a pattern here that goes back to 2001 of misrepresenting how much you were making in order to get loans, and then misrepresenting how little you were making when it came to filing for taxes and bankruptcy. What did you know about any of that?
I would love to answer all your questions, and one day I will, but out of the respect of the process, I'm going to let, the legal matters play out in court.
The Giudices are just the latest in a string of reality TV stars whose fortunes turned after they became famous. From Anna Nicole Smith, found dead of an overdose, to MTV's teen mom Farrah Abraham, whose sex tape became public, to Tarek and Michaela Salahi, now forever infamous for having crashed a White House state dinner. Is this the reality show curse? If you get married on TV, don't be surprised if you end up getting divorced on TV as well. Bethany Frankel had a whole series about getting married to Jason Hoppy.
I love you. This is the best moment of my entire life right now.
And giving birth to their daughter on Bethany Ever After. But the marriage didn't last long after the show.
You're so worried about people thinking that I'm this perfect husband. Does that bother you so much?
Yes, it does.
It does. Then I'm done.
I'm going through a brutal, brutal time.
I think Bethany Frankel has tens of millions of dollars or hundreds of millions of dollars, but understand this doesn't make you happy.
Real Housewives of Beverly Hills star Camille Grammer was married to Frasier's Kelsey Grammer when filming started.
The minute I stop looking for the perfect woman, she lands right in my lap.
But the couple called it quits at the end of the first season. Camille Grammer is one of Howard Bragman's clients.
I think Camille entered Housewives without understanding what was going to happen. I always tell my clients that there's reality and there's reality TV, and don't get the two confused.
But it's not just their love lives that get reality TV stars in trouble, with every move being documented by cameras.
Now that is how you carve a pumpkin.
It's all too easy to say something that gets you in hot water. The A&E show Duck Dynasty came under fire when their patriarch, Phil Robertson, told GQ magazine, "Start with homosexual behavior and just morph out from there. Bestiality, sleeping around with this woman and that woman." The GQ comment sparked virulent reaction, and A&E, which is partly owned by ABC, temporarily suspended the bearded patriarch, only to reinstate him after the family threatened to walk away from the hit show and the millions it brings them.
It's A&E's biggest hit for sure, and it's the most watched reality show of all time. It's also spawned this whole multi-million-dollar retail empire.
Like the Robertson family, Teresa Giudice has turned the white-hot glare of celebrity into a successful business. She is a best-selling cookbook author. She sells everything from hair care to desserts to her flavored Bellini, which she calls a Fabellini. Teresa and Joe run the business together. She is the face, he is the salesman. Working behind the scenes, they hope to make this their legacy.
How does that feel? How far you've come?
The reason why we're doing it is for our daughters. And, so they could maybe have, they could think about their future and what choices they want to make in their lives.
Tonight, the Giudice family is grappling with the consequence of their guilty plea.
How this stress and going through this can bring you closer or it can drift you apart. In this case, and I've spent a lot of time with Joe and Teresa, it's brought them closer together.
Teresa and Joe have 4 daughters, Gia, Gabriella, Melania, and Adriana. The oldest 13, the youngest 4.
It's a lot of pressure when you're trying to make your kids feel safe when you're uncertain. How do you do it?
I'm a role model for them. I can't just be upset and crawl up in a ball and just go in a room and lock the door.
When the door is shut and they are in bed, do you get to do that?
Yes, and I do that. I mean, I would be lying to say I did.
Speaking of, as a convicted felon, Joe, who was born in Italy and is not a U.S. citizen, could face deportation.
Have you two talked about what that might mean for your family?
I've been married to Joe for 14 years. He's been here his whole life, so I guess that's something that his attorney is going to deal with.
Today, their attorney said he would fight any attempt to deport the father of 4.
I think it would be a grave injustice for him to be deported. He's not a man of violence, but it would just be inhumane to the children and Teresa for him to be deported.
Joe is facing up to 46 months in prison. Teresa, up to 27 months, something they always knew was a possibility.
Obviously, you have a lot of uncertainties, some major legal issues. What are you hoping for in terms of your future?
Basically, just to get through to all the, through all the bad stuff. You know what I mean? And looking forward to the future with my wife and kids. And there's days where you feel a little depressed at times, but other than that, you just stay strong and just keep moving forward. Otherwise, if you just think about it, it will kill you.
Can you see a day when the storm has passed?
Eventually that day will come, you know what I mean? So the sooner the better. There's nothing, we can really do at this point.
One day at a time.
One day at a time.
For Nightline, Amy Robach in New Jersey.